Hello and good morning. My name is Carson Dobric, and today I will be sharing with you my reading and viewing presentation for Class PAF 420 for Professor Goncher. The title of my two articles, the first one is titled Arizona Again Near Tops in Nation for Women in State Elected Office. Article 2 is titled Arizona Broke Glass Ceiling for Women in Office but Lags. The first article was written by Aubrey Abril, and the second article was written by Bob Christie. What is the general public leadership theme of the article? Well, when I first read the two articles, a theme that I got out of it was the word perseverance. And for those of you who don't know what that means, you can define perseverance as steadfastness in doing something despite difficulty or delay in achieving success. The reason I chose perseverance was because there are a great amount of men who work in politics, more men than women. Actually, it's a fact. But in the articles, the two authors they interviewed former and current female politicians, and one politician, for example, was Aubrey Abril, and she was quoted saying, "What women bring to politics is about their experiences, not their gender." Um, Arizona is known to vote for women in politics. Like it's a well-known fact. Arizona has had the most female governors in the history of the United States. That's four total. One of them is actually our current governor, Jan Brewer. Um, the reason, back to perseverance, all since there are hardly any female politicians in the United States, and they have to persevere to get that job in office if they want it, because it's just more of a considered a man's job, unfortunately. So having Arizona be that state that elects women is very impressive, and they don't just those women don't just get into office by not working hard whatsoever. Another theme I got out of the two articles was perspective, and that could be defined as the way a person views an idea or object. Um, in the second article, uh, the author talks about how women think differently, more differently than men. They're more focused on getting the job done, and they care less about wanting to take credit. And I agree with that. And I actually thought it was kind of funny because men are just so focused on who came up with this idea or who wants to take credit for it. And I do that personally myself whenever having a conversation with friends or people. I'm just competitive, and men are competitive, but women, they're competitive as well, but they're just more focused on getting it done instead of arguing over who has the bigger ego in a sense. What does the author want the reader to learn about public leadership? Well, like I said before, Arizona is unique compared to other states due to women holding office. Um, Arizona is a unique state for that being because in the 1998 election, Arizona broke the gender barrier by hiring four women, not hiring, voting in four women for the main positions of Arizona government. And that would be Jan Hall as governor, Betsy Bayless as the Secretary of State, Janet Napolitano as Attorney General, and Carol Springer as treasurer. Janet Napolitano would later become governor in Arizona in about 2003. So, like I said earlier, the authors of both articles are interviewing former politicians, such as former Governor Jan Hall. What they want to tell you is Arizona's history of governors. They also point out the fact that currently Arizona has had the third highest percentage of women in its legislature, which is 34%, only trailing Colorado and Vermont was something that I learned, which I found very interesting. Um, but yeah, they pretty much want to summarize two articles giving two former politicians' opinions on women's involvement in politics and why it's so popular in the state of Arizona. Identify a current Arizona or national public official or individual involved in the public leadership arena that represents the issues, decisions, actions, or theme of the article. Well, the person I chose was Rose Mufford, and for those of you who don't know who that is, she was the first ever elected female governor of the state of Arizona. Um, She had success come to her dating all the way back to her high school days when she was voted class president and then later valedictorian when she graduated. Along with that success, she was an All American softball player. And I think she perfectly relates to the theme of persevering because she doesn't just earn all those things magically, like they just appear in her lap. She has to work hard to be good at sports and be at the top of her class in academics and represent her school in class politics. That's very impressive to me. Um, After high school, she pursued an interest in politics by uh, running and eventually winning Secretary of State for the state of Arizona. And while she was in office, Evan Meekum was currently governor of Arizona, but he got impeached because he was not doing the right things that he said he would do. So she had to step in like halfway through. She didn't expect it, so she had to step in halfway through his term and take the reins of the state of Arizona and make some decisions. And I find that really impressive because that's not everyone is cut out to do that. So I thought perseverance and Rose Mufford really related well together. Do you agree or disagree with the information in the article? Um, I 100% agreed with everything that was being said because um, it was two historical figures who are real people who base their experiences in government, these two females, and they compared it to the history of the state of Arizona, and they all they did was discuss facts regarding Arizona's history of women in politics. So, and it was a bunch of new information I had not known about our great state of Arizona. So that relates to me as well. Um, these women that were interviewed and discussed all have different viewpoints on the state of Arizona and women in politics because they all served during different times, and that just made things really interesting and unique. So it was really eye opening. How does the public leadership theme or content of the article affect your classmates and members of your generation? Well, yes, it does affect us because our current governor is actually a female, who is Jan Brewer. She's been serving in office for quite some time now. This affects us because we've lived through her first term, and I think she's serving her second term right now. But she got reelected, and whatever decision she makes will impact my life after college because I'll just be getting a brand new job. The economy could be different, taxes could be different. Who knows what's going to happen? So it affects my classmates and I right now and in the future as well. Does it affect me personally as of right now? Not that I can think of, no, because I have the same routine of going to school as a full-time student at ASU and then working a job outside of school, which keeps me busy. I have the support of my family right now helping me pay most of my finances. So just the stuff that Jan Brewer, who just is a great example of a female in office, this decision she's making in Arizona, I understand most of it, but it doesn't really affect me because I'm not paying for my own way yet in a sense. But yeah, the laws she makes for education and school, that does affect me. So in a sense, it kind of does as well. So yeah, that's my presentation on my articles. Thank you so much for listening. All right.